What's up guys, today we're going to be ranking the best IEMs from 500 to 1000 USDs that came out this year with some older sets included for comparison. And starting off with the best all-rounders, we have the D-Audio Hype 10, which not only has amazing bass texture from its dual dynamic isobaric setup, but it also has the detail and balance to back it up. Now, even though the Hype 10s is a small upgrade from the Hype 4s, it is objectively better when it comes to the treble and the detail and the resolution. But versus the older Monarch Mark 3s, I would still save up for the Mark 3s personally because the vocals and the air is better on the Mark 3s, and for $100 more, just save up and get the ESDs. We also have the IO Volair for those on a tighter budget. The low end isn't as good as the Hype 10s, and the dynamics aren't as punchy, but it's still one of the best Harman inspired IEMs under $600 and very good technical performance and timbre. But just a heads up, because my second unit of the Volair is pretty different than the first one that I've heard, which is closer to Harman 2019. The second one, not so much, so there might be some potential unit variances out there. You also have the Oracle Mark 3s if you want more sizzle and energy in the treble and better bass texture versus the Volair, but the trade-off is that you're gonna get slightly worse mids and vocals as well as timbre, with both of them being slightly behind the Hype 10s and the Monarch Mark 3s overall. Now at this price range, most of the sets like the Hype 10s, the Oracles, and the Volair will have pretty great technical performance already, but if you want the most detail and you're willing to sacrifice the tuning, then the Cantor is technically better than all of them. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of the Cantor since it literally gave me headaches and it just sounds lean, shrill, and fatiguing to me personally, but if you listen at lower volumes or if you have quote-unquote older ears, then they are still an option. They are very detailed and resolving, but for most people, I would recommend just either saving up for the Crimson or the Prestige LTD instead, because they are tuned better while giving you that detail and the performance, or get something cheaper like the Tongzu Xuanwu Gate or the Oracle Mark 3s, the Volair, which is tuned better but still very technically capable. And speaking of Tongzu Xuanwu Gate, this would be my pick for a neutral balanced IEM since it has very good detail retrieval and little sub-bass rumble while being very balanced and neutral. The Mega 5 ESC also works, but there's quite a bit of unit variance, and the one I got at least was a little bit too bland, a little bit too smooth, whereas the Gate was just a little bit more dynamic and sharper when it came to the imaging while still being neutral. Plus the design and the build quality as well as the accessories on the Gate is just miles better in my opinion. On the other hand, if you want something brighter that focuses more on the treble, then the Duno Mirai would be a good pick. It's got that sparkliness and sharpness to the transients with pretty great dynamics on top, and since it is tamer in the low end, it allows for the higher frequencies to shine more. However, it's not gonna beat the OG Helios when it comes to just how smooth and airy the treble is. Nothing really beats it under 1K in terms of just how smooth and airy it is. As for vocals, the best all-rounders, so male and females, that I heard that came out this year would be the second unit of the Volair using the ST50s or the TW45 tips. Compared to the other Volairs, my second unit is less bassy and more mid-range focus, which allows the vocals to pop out more and the bass gets less in a way, allows the vocals to shine more. Now, I don't think it's gonna top the RS5 or the OG Oracles, because if you want the most powerful and extended vocals, the RS5 is still the king there. And as for female vocals, I do think the OG Oracles are still better. It's just cleaner, sweeter, but the Volair splits the difference, and it's a pretty good all-rounder just when it comes to male and female, and it kind of reminds me of the direct upgrade to the Studio 4s. However, my favorite vocals this year would be a more unique set. It's gonna be a hit or miss for most people, and that would be the Yang Yin Carmen at high volume. You need to crank these up or else they're just gonna sound mid, they're gonna sound whatever at mid volume, because they do need scaling. They scale like a beast when it comes to the vocals, super immersive and very intimate, and it's a very musical and emotional experience that's really good for ballads and slower tracks. Go check out the playlist because the Carmen is pretty track dependent as well. But scaling wise, aside from the Carmen, which is more vocal focus in the scaling, the best scaling set overall, aside from the original EJ07, would be the Pilgrim Nor. Yeah, they are a bit overpriced, but if you like the full Explorer and you want something just like that, but with better extension, more detail, more air, then that's literally what the Nor is. Is it worth 5 to 6 times more? No, but it is a noticeable upgrade in the technical performance across the board from the Explorer and the Kiwi Years KE4. Now, something else that also scales very well but not quite on the same level but works much better as a warm and smooth set is the Mega 5 EST Bass Edition, not the HB one, because I do think that got cancelled. In order to get the bass version, you select the custom option instead of the universal one, and you message High Scener and ask them to tune it with more bass, usually around 3 to 5 dBs more depending on how much you want from the original. And this turns the original Mega 5 from a neutral smooth sound signature to a thicker, warmer, but still smooth and more comforting to listen, while being like still well balanced in the upper mids and the treble. However, if you still want more bass but just not that warm and smooth sound, but something more, you know, dynamic, tactile, and more like engaging in the bass presentation, then the D-Audio Origin has one of the best bass textures under $1,000. You hear the reverb, you hear the shaking feeling from the bone conduction driver. That's very unique to the Origin, I would say, as well as like the bounciness while still maintaining that heaviness in the impact and the slam in the low end. And similarly, the Symphonium Titan is also just as slamming, even a little bit more rumble in the sub bass, but it does add a little bit more upper mids energy and dynamics to the sound, which makes it a better V-shaped IEM in my opinion. The Titans are not as thick as the Origin, and you know, you trade some of that bone conduction, reverb, and vibration for sharper transients and more energy in general, making it more exciting and a very good V-shaped option. But if you want even more bass than those two, so now we're talking bass head levels of bass, as much bass as you can get, like you're willing to sacrifice the balance just for more slam and for more impact and just like rumble, then there's really nothing beating the Fat Freak Scarlett Minis. I mean, just look at that 30 dB bass shelf. It's not balanced by any means, but if you want like the most fun like bass, just like you want the most bass, these are it. Then finally, the best value IEM from $500 to $1,000 would probably be the Volair or Oracle Mark IIIs, but with a pretty huge asterisk, because like anything around the 500 price range is pretty like value, because technically they're all pretty great. You know, there's just a slightly behind the Hype 10s and the Monarch Mark IIIs, but for like $300 to $400 cheaper. It really depends what you're looking for. The Volair has better vocals and timbre versus the Oracle Mark IIIs, whereas the Oracle Mark IIIs has better bass texture and more treble detail, and then the Mega 5s are just like the smoothest and the most like safe, I guess, if that's your thing. So there's like trade-offs, but if you want all of those, so no trade-offs, then that would probably be like the Hype 10s or the, you know, Mark IIIs, but they are like more expensive and not as quote-unquote value. You can also get the EM 10s on sale for $350. It's not gonna be as, you know, refined in the treble because of the PZTs, but you know, it trades pretty well in terms of like just pure detail retrieval. It stacks up pretty well versus the Volair and Oracle Mark IIIs and stuff like that around the $500 price bracket. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. I hope this guide was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Shout out to Roark's Cat, Dom Q, Star Buccaneers, Discal Scaldus, B Urac, Mystic Spoon Attack, Oh Really, Walker, Standard, User, Ernest, Patrick, Polly J, Mr. Gorillas, Anton Risto, Giseng Young, Ed Dunlap, Christopher Jackson, Name, Henry Claudia, Son of a Horse, 777ZK, Ben Thompson, Asher, Obi, Contain Guava Juice Gains, Treble Well Extended, Wizard, Yan, Frickalicious, Luigi, Bakasuka, Ricardo, and Tapas. Thank you guys so much.